The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
All right. Brandon Bigby, you still with us? Look, we've got about 6 or 7 minutes, so I'm going to hush and let you talk. Tell us about Holder and Obama and him talking about his birth certificate. All that ties together. Tell us the story.
Yeah, well, of course, Holder kind of made a fool of himself. Louis Gohmert, Representative Texas, stuff, him being held in contempt of Congress last year, 2 years ago, concerned out there, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't want to go there. Now, that's a pretty professional thing for our Attorney General to say.
Right.
Now, it gets better. The next day, Holder is asking the National Action Network, a group, the cocaine dealing, FBI informant, dirty scumbag Al Sharpton.
Right.
He's addressing a group founded by Al Sharpton, and he goes on to talk about how, what attorney general has ever had to deal with that kind of treatment? What president has ever had to deal with that kind of treatment? Well, my question to you, Mr. Holder, is what attorney general and what president has ever acted like y'all act?
Right.
Because y'all are criminals and you are destroying what made this country what it is. So now here's what's unbelievable. Obama addressed the same group. Obama addressed the same group on the same day, on Wednesday.
Really?
Okay?
They were there
Yes,
together?
on the same day. And Obama is addressing the group concerning voters' rights. In other words, let's let everybody vote, and you'll understand that in a second. Let everybody vote. It doesn't matter if they have a driver's license or identification or whatever. Just let them vote. And here's what Obama said. He says, just to be clear, I know where my birth certificate is. A lot of people. Now, look, it gets better. Then he says, and the article says, grinning, so in other words, he's smiling. He says, do you remember that? That was crazy. That was some crazy stuff. I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah, I bet. Well, hey, let me tell you something. He's going to be thinking about it a lot very, very soon. Okay?
The arrogance of these people is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I know. So he actually said, I know where my birth certificate is. Well, then let me ask you something, Mr. President. If you know where your birth certificate is, would you please show it to us? Because the one that you have on the White House website is not a birth certificate. It is a fabricated, forged, been proven by a 2-year criminal forensic investigation, signed off on by the dude who was the expert witness for the law firm that's been protecting your birth certificate. Reed Hayes actually signed a 40-page affidavit, gave it to Arpaio and Zullo, and said, that's the cheapest, nastiest, stupidest forgery I've ever seen. So that's not your birth certificate, Mr. Obama. Please tell us where it is if you know where it is, right?
Yes, yeah. Now listen, this is an ABC News article, okay? This isn't just, fringe stuff. This is ABC News. And just think of this. You got the Attorney General sitting before Congress, basically, I don't even know what the words are. You don't want to go there, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. That's real professional. That's really how you act when you're the Attorney General of the most powerful nation in the world.
Right.
And then, just days after it comes out, all of this garbage about Al Sharpton, which, by the way, whenever you and I talk about, well, that's just a paid government informant, like we talk about so many of the news people.
Right.
Listen, but when someone can for years get away with the race baiting and the inciting of riots at times, with calling for the death of people at times, with being involved with groups that are putting bounties on people's heads and not get in trouble, that is a government informant.
Right.
You or I would be in federal prison tomorrow if we did that.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Right.
That is a government informant that is on the payroll of our government to do none other than to stir up dissent.
Right.
Reed Hayes is a court-certified forensic document examiner. He was someone that I truly believe by divine intervention stepped in to this, because we had people trying to find a document examiner to look at this, some 212, and they refused because of the nature of what this was. Reed Hayes stepped up to the plate, skeptically, but stepped up to the plate. When I asked him to help us, he was reluctant like everybody else, and it's understandable. But after we talked, I asked him if he would just take a look at this for me and let me know if I'm even close. Because the one thing we wanted to make sure is we ran it to 1,200 tests. We had computer professionals. The term expert is bandied around, but for law enforcement purposes, court certified, recognized experts are the only thing that cut it. So I took this file, I sent it to Mr. Hayes, and in about 20 minutes he called me back and he goes, Mike, there's something seriously wrong with this. And I said, Reed, that's what I'm trying to tell you, and I don't know what happened. So he went to work on it for us, and he was compensated to do it. That's his profession, that's what he does, and the man deserves his wage. 40 pages later, that last line that he put in there, to me that was a gift. Because Sheriff Ohio and I have been touting this for over a year, that this thing's illegitimate, it's not real. And you got a guy that testified in about 26 cases, wrote books. I mean, that's pretty impressive credits. And this guy's going to testify for us if it ever comes to that. The document is just fatally flawed.
Across the country, Republicans have led efforts to pass laws making it harder, not easier, for people to vote. In some places, women could be turned away from the polls just because they're registered under their maiden name, but their driver's license has their married name. Senior citizens who've been voting for decades may suddenly be told they can no longer vote until they can come up with the right ID. In other places, folks may learn that without a document like a passport or a birth certificate, they can't register. About 60% of Americans don't have a passport. Just because you don't have the money to travel abroad doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to vote here at home. And just to be clear, I know where my birth certificate is, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. I think it's still up on a website somewhere. You remember that? That was crazy. That was some crazy stuff. I hadn't thought about that in a while. Now, I want to be clear. I am not against reasonable attempts to secure the ballot. We understand that there has to be rules in place. But I am against requiring an ID that millions of Americans don't have.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.